Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah ta'ala, in this class, we're going to continue from where we stopped. If you look at our previous class, you notice that we started on علامات الرفع. And the Musannif rahimahullah ta'ala, when he started with Babu Ma'rifati علامات الإعراب, something that he did beautifully is that he divided these علامات الإعراب according to every single type of inflection. So you notice the rafa stands on its own, the nasb stands on its own, the jar stands on its own, and the jazm stands on its own. And when you look carefully into it, you realize something which I wanted to share with you, and I find it I found it very, very beautiful. How the ulama of nahu, of grammar, they put together Arabic words. This is where we started, by the way. Just a little recap. Alamatul rafa', and perhaps if you see a card popping up somewhere, or maybe you look at the description below, you find a whole playlist of Al-Ajrumiyyah, as we've already started. This is Al-Ajrumiyyah. Okay, and if you literally go to the previous classes, it allows you to build up to this class itself. So don't just watch one class, do go through all the rest of the other classes. And remember, as we are inshallah ta'ala releasing the lessons week by week, inevitably one day soon enough will come to the end, to an end. And when we come to the end, you have an entire book studied with together, and you'll be able to use that to enhance your Arabic, and if not, maybe get to understand the Arabic language in itself and see the weight of it, the beauty of it, the magnificence of the language itself. Now, if you look over here, something I wanted to bring to your attention is you notice that we are mentioning a lot al-ismul mufrad. Al-ismul mufrad, the single form noun, أليس كذلك? And then جمع التكسير, the broken plural noun, جمع المؤنث السالم, and the feminine plural, and then we have الفعل المضارع الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء. Now what's important, I don't want you to confuse yourself with all of this. Focus on this. الفعل المضارع, the present tense. Now, when we go further, you notice you have جمع المذكر السالم. So we said here we have جمع المؤنث السالم, the feminine plural noun, and then we have the masculine plural noun, الأسماء الخمسة والأسماء الخمسة, the 5 particular nouns. On top of that, if you go further, you notice تثنية الأسماء, which is dual, 2 of nouns. From 2, basically Arabic has 1, then 2, then from 3 is plural. 1, 2, then from 3 is plural. And for 2, you notice التثنية أو المثنى مثلا, but we're specifically looking at the noun. There's a reason. Look over here. النون علامة للرفع في الفعل المضارع إذا اتصل به ضمير تثنية, ضمير جمع, ضمير المؤنث, المؤنثة المخاطبة. Now, what is this? الفعل المضارع again. You notice something that is known as the 5 particular verbs as well. The 5 particular verbs as well when it comes to the noon. What am I trying to tell you? You might think فعل المضارع, جمع المؤنث السالم, جمع المذكر السالم, جمع التكسير, الاسم المفرد. Why are we repeating these terms? Let me tell you this. As you know, in Arabic, there are words which are not fixed, and there are words which are fixed. There are words which accept change, such as what? Those which are part of the chapter of Al-I'rāb, and there are words which are part of the chapter of Al-Bina, fixed words. Those fixed words, there are different categories. For example, like the past tense, or maybe if you look, there are certain nouns which are specifically fixed in that manner. مثلا, لكن or prepositions. أليس كذلك؟ لكن when you look at علامات الإعراب, basically the chapter of Al-I'rāb itself, also there are words in Arabic that are known specifically to accept change. And when you look carefully, especially in Al-Ājrumiyyah, in this case, you notice that all of the other signs that we are going to now to learn, these words, these type of words, these types of words such as جمع المذكر السالم, the masculine plural noun, جمع المؤنث السالم, the feminine plural noun, الاسم المفرد, the single form noun, and also الأفعال الخمسة, the 5 particular verbs, and also الأسماء الخمسة, the 5 particular nouns, you notice that they are constantly repeating. Like basically these signs, for example, the علامات of النصب, and the signs of al-nasb, the alamat of al-khafd, the alamat of al-jazm. These 3, which we haven't looked into, and we're going to look into them in the next classes, inshallah. You notice that these are the same words which constantly keep on repeating again and again. And one of them that we should not forget as well is al-fi'l al-mudari'. It is the present tense. Al-fi'l al-mudari' is in many forms. The fi'l al-mudari' الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء, which has nothing with it at the very end combined with it, such as pronouns and so forth. Or it could be combined, connected with another, with a noun, could be connected in any way or form, for example, or it could have an ending which has a defecting letter. What letter would it be? It would be either alif or waw and ya. Let me bring this to your attention. If I have already, ahlan wa sahlan. If I haven't, then don't forget this. Don't forget this. Very crucial, because you're going to see this happening a lot. Look carefully. Al-alif and waw and ya, these 3 letters are known as ahruf al-illah. Ahruf al-illah. And when you study as-sarf morphology, you notice that we're dealing with these letters for different types of words. For different types of words, not the muda'af, which literally has 2 letters repeating themselves in one word. Either they can be maqroon or mafruq, depending. But there are words which their ending ends with one defecting letter, problematic letter, in simple words, which has what? Causes a illa at the end, such as the ya, or maybe an alif, or waw. An example can be, for example, if you have a name such as Salma, Salma. Because as we said, even this alif, it's written in 2 ways. We said that you either have the long standing alif, which is the elongated alif, or you have the ya type of alif in this case. Now Salma is still regarded as an alif at the end, lakin is known as a short alif, al-alif al-maqsura. أليس كذلك? نعم. Now what you notice is this. If Salma ended like this, how do we say that we cannot provide its i'rab? Of course you can. Is it fixed? No. For example, if you have the word da'a, 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 مثلا. Da'a means he summoned, he invoked, isn't it? He invoked. What is that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to mean? When you say someone invoked, da'a means someone means he invoked. But what we're looking at specifically is the alif at the end, isn't it? Now, but this is a past tense. What about its present tense? Its present tense looks like this. يدعو, which means the present tense ended with a waw. Ended with a waw. أليس كذلك? And in this case, you can do the i'rab. This word is i'rabable. I know that it's just a made up word that I made it up myself. Basically, you can give, it is part of the i'rab words which accept change at the very end. أليس كذلك? It can be in a state of raf', it can be in a state of nasb, it can be in a state of jar. Basically, the haraka that you need for every type of inflection does apply here. But as we said, don't forget that we have 2 types of inflections, and I will keep on repeating this until it enters into your mind properly. Lafdhan, we have the part where we said the meaning of i'rab, the i'rab itself, it is the changing of the ending of words because of the different agents that you find, either the raf' or nasb or jar or jazm. Lakin these agents can be uttered or they can be assumed. تقديرا, you just give an assumption and you more or less like a measurement. Does that make sense? تقديرا, تقدر له or تقدر لها. أليس كذلك? You literally assume that the sign was there. And in this case, let's say in this case, this word is in a state of rafa. In a state of rafa. لكن you cannot say يدعو because للثقل. The Arabs, first of all, did not say it that way, number one. Number two, it is difficult. يدعو, you have to strain yourself to say it like that. And Arabs were known to be lazy when it came to certain words. That's why sometimes I joke around with them and tell them, why don't you pronounce certain things? They say, nah, they don't like doing it. The easiest route is better for them. لذلك, how they spoke, they did not say يدعو. They said يدعو, يدعو. أليس كذلك? So we assume that the dhamma is there without even having to pronounce it. I know this sounds a bit technical, but that's not what I'm trying to tell you, for you to literally start looking and searching for words. No, I'm trying to make it clear for you that these three letters are known as ahruf al-illa. They are illa letters. They cause a problem at the end of the words. And that should be very clear for you. Now, when you look at when you look at the types of words that we mentioned, such as we said that jam'u al-mu'annath salim, al-fi'l al-mudari'. This fi'l al-mudari', as we said, is the one that majority of the times you find over here, which at the end it doesn't have anything added to it, and it should not end with any three problematic letters. Any huruf al-illa, it shouldn't end with any of those. It should end with a clear sign. أليس كذلك? And even if it does, we still use the assumption, the assumption of the haraka being there. Okay, we still use the assumption of the haraka being there. Naam. الاسم المفرد جمع التكسير جمع المؤنث السالم. Pardon me for the fi'l al-mudari'. It's not that if it ends with a harf illa, then it cannot. We do not accept the i'rab. We do accept the i'rab. That should be very clear. We do accept the i'rab of it. Okay. جمع المذكر السالم. I mixed between فعل المضارع and فعل ماضي, past tense and present tense. That's why. And جمع المذكر السالم and الأسماء الخمسة and الأفعال الخمسة and التثنية مثنى. These are the ones that you will constantly be hearing coming every now and then. Is that very clear? Now, where did we stop last? All we did is الضمة, that the ضمة علامة للرفع. It is the sign of الرفع في in four types of words. إما الاسم المفرد, the single form, or جمع التكسير, if it is a broken plural noun, and we spoke about this. You can look at the previous class. جمع المؤنث السالم, we spoke about this in the previous class, how to expect it. And الفعل المضارع الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء, the present tense which is not combined with anything at the very end. Understood? And mainly you'll notice that it's not changed for any reason. And we said al-waw, the waw, it is the sign of al-raf' in jam'il mudhakkar salim, in the masculine plural noun. And al-asma al-khamsa, Now there's something called jam'ul mu'annath as-salim. Salima min madha? Basically, is safe from what? Jam'ul mudhakkar as-salim, all of this. Why salim specifically? This is something that we don't want to discuss, and we said in the previous class, the reason why we're not gonna discuss it is because these are technicalities related to the types of words. We are focusing on the type of inflections, and as our focus is on the type of inflections, we have to focus on knowing, okay, what are the signs of what signs of inflections would you find in particular words? So once we finish that, then perhaps we can look at the type of words and how do you notice them, how do you spot them, inshallah ta'ala. Understood? But don't forget this, we are focused on the text of Al-Ājrūmiyyah, which is the grammar text, but we're not focused on the words. وَإِن كَانَتْ الشُّرُحَاتِ, even if these explanation books, for example, like التحفة الثانية and the other ones that we keep constantly mention, such as الشرح الكفراوي, and even more than that, you notice that what they did is they expanded on the explanations, but it's not something what Sahibul Matn was literally providing us with. In fact, he was just providing us with exactly what to expect and how does it work. The qaida, basically, the rules, the principles that you need to apply everywhere. And if you understand the rules, it becomes much easier for you to know how to deal with the rest of the other parts of the Arabic language, such as these type of words. Okay? Coming back now, الواو علامة للرفع في جمع المذكر السالم وفي الأسماء الخمسة, in the 5 types of nouns. So if you look, الواو علامة للرفع في جمع المذكر السالم الأسماء الخمسة. And I did not explain this a lot properly, but I'm going to come to make it clear for you now. Look at the whiteboard. Look at the whiteboard. أيوة. نعم, I just want to push something away. نعم. Now جمع المذكر السالم, قلنا أن جمع المؤنث السالم, that the feminine plural noun is such as, if we have مسلمة, مسلمة means a Muslim woman, a Muslim woman. What made you know that it's a Muslim woman is because of this ta. One of the things that we said is that if a word contains a ta marbuta, basically an enclosed ta, the small ta, such as this one, it doesn't mean that that word is particularly a feminine word. No, because such as the name, such names as Hamza or Talha, these are names of blessed men, of great men that literally they walked on this earth and lived side by side with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Talha did so. Hamza radiallahu anhu as well, he did so, and he was the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whom the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the sake of this deen, he had to swallow the bitterness of it in order to make sure that this message literally spreads to the entire world. Imagine that. But that's not what we're trying to cover here. Just to show you that if Hamza ends with a ta marbuta, when it's written like this, it doesn't change the fact that this is a male's name, a man's name. Understood? But you need to understand that majority of the words that end with a ta marbuta like this is a feminine word. And when it ends like this, such as Muslim, Muslimah, you notice that the plural of it, the plural of Muslimah, yeah, the plural of Muslimah is Muslim plus alif and ta. Basically, it's the plus of alif and ta at the end. These two, which make it become what? Muslimatin or Muslimatun. Muslimatun. Understood? It's a feminine word. What other word can we use? For example, if we have Fatima, and there's more than two Fatimas starting from 3, you can say Fatimat. Although some ulama say Fawatim, but Fatimat, like this. Basically, there's more than one Fatima, like that. But let's say if it's a female name, but this name doesn't end with a with a ta marbuta, such as Hind. Hind is a name that doesn't end with the ta, as Hinda. No, that's not how we read it, isn't it? But because it's a female name and you want to say more than two hinds, you would say Hindatun. Okay, Hindatun, like that. Hindat. Is that very clear? حاضر. That's for the جمع المؤنث السالم. جمع المذكر السالم. Let's use Muslim again. Muslim means a Muslim man. That's what it means. You already know now it's a Muslim woman, as written over here. Just delete these 2 letters. It becomes what? Muslim man. A Muslim man, if you want to make it plural, you add waw and noon like this. It becomes Muslimuna. Muslimuna. Okay? It becomes what? Muslimuna. Now look, see? It's the waw and the noon. Muslimuna. Isn't that very clear? Muslimuna means 3 plus Muslims. Female, men, male Muslim, basically men. 3 Muslim men. That's what it is. 3 Muslim men. Let me just write Muslim men here, make it very clear. 3 Muslim men, 3 plus Muslim men, like that. That is the Jam'ul Mudhakkar Salim, the masculine plural noun. And then you have Al-Asma' al-Khamsa, the 5 particular nouns. In this case, what do you say? You say, if you look at the whiteboard, you would say Al-Asma' al-Khamsa, Al-Asma' al-Khamsa. What does this mean? The 5 particular nouns, or you can say the 5 specific nouns. Okay, and they are Abu, Abu, Akhu, Hamu, Hamu, Fu, and Dhu. Okay, Hamu, Fu, Dhu. What does this mean? Abu means the father of. Akhu means the brother of. Hamu, Hamu, this could be is in-law, in-law of. Fu means mouth of, the mouth of. Dhu means owner of. Why am I adding of? Because these words are incomplete without having another word. This other word that you put at the end is known to be the one that completes the meaning of each one of them. But then there's something that must be very clear for you. The waw is what shows its i'rab. The waw is what shows its i'rab, because this word can be مثلا, can be abu, can be aba, aba, can be abi. Any one of these, abi, and they all mean the same thing. They all mean the same thing, nothing different. Lakin each one of these are different types of i'rabs. We are focusing on only one type, that this one is in a state of rafa' ending with a dhamma. So if I say Abu Muhammad, if I say Abu Muhammad, what would that mean? Which many of us today use, we use the word Abu all the time. Abu Muhammad, Muhammadin, that's what it would be. What do we say? The father of Muhammad. The father of Muhammad. So Abu on its own does not stand. If you say just say Abu, it wouldn't work. So you have to add a name. So if I say Abuka, Inna Abaha wa Aba Abaha قد بلغت عن الغاية عن مجد غايتها. I forgot the actual line. Like it starts with Inna Abaha wa Aba Abaha, and then it carries on like that. So what do you notice? Look, if I say Abu, Abuha, Abuha, Abuha means her father. And this is a pronoun. It's a pronoun. This is a pronoun. Now that's something different from what we are learning. We're just learning the i'rab. Understood? I hope that's clear. So the 5 particular or specific nouns mentioned over here, that the i'rab of it is the waw, is abu, akhu, hamu, fu, and dhu. Although the ulama provide us dhu malin, because dhu does not stand on its own. Okay? فلذلك, if you just provide dhu for some, it becomes a bit technical to understand. Lakin it's much clearer now. If you say dhu malin, you say the owner of mal, who has wealth, basically. For example, it means basically sahib, the owner of. That's what it is. Sahibul bayt, the bayt, the one who owns the house. Now, coming back to the notes now, If you look, so now we know الواو علامة للرفع في جمع المذكر السالم الأسماء الخمسة. And the reason why we don't want to delve into all of these in the shuruhat is where you find more explanation of how to use the asma al-khamsa, how to use Jam'u al-Mudhakkar salim, all of the shurut that are provided. And it makes it a bit mind-boggling because it's too much. Right now, all of what we want to do is focus on the several types, basically generalize what you're learning. First of all, learn the general understanding of it, the most sathi understanding of it, surface level, because once you grasp that, then you go back to learning again, go through the lesson again and again. That's when you learn. A book or a knowledge does not give its secrets in the first instance. No, it's you have to live with it. The ulama do not become ulama without them constantly revising. اعلم هذا. Scholars say العلم حفظ شيء ومراجعة ألف. Knowledge is memorizing once or memorizing something and then revising it 1,000 times. So you revise something 1,000 times, that's when you realize that you're understanding what you're learning. Al-Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, he was literally left with no option. Not like today we use videos. It's a blessing and a ni'mah. We're using technology the wrong way, ikhwah. We are using technology to consume the wrong things, which literally destroy our thoughts, destroy our mindsets, destroy our minds, and make us incapacitated, incapable, and useless people. Let's be very honest. This technology has come as a blessing on its own. But if we use it for the wrong reasons, which the majority of us are doing so, we end up finding that we are wasting our lives. Even the one that you are watching online who shows that they are disciplined and maybe they've succeeded, whether materialistically or in other way or shape or form, remember this, they want you to consume that and they are keeping you busy. Why not you create your own history? And creating your own history is not about you being famous, not about you being rich, but think about those around you. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be recognized as? So Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala had to repeat a mas'ala more than 36 times to one student until it made sense to the student, and that was after class. What about now? If something is a bit technical, perhaps if the video, the lesson video that you're watching is a bit vague, then you'll need answers from the teacher by waiting for Q&A sessions, or maybe looking for the teacher by asking the question and giving the teacher time to respond back to you. But if it's something that you can't go through it until you understand, ahlan wa sahlan, that's the whole purpose of why you're watching this. You are learning this and you're understanding this. You're not consuming it. The word consuming, the way we are literally using it loosely, and I myself, I might be one of those who use the word often, but to be very honest, consuming something means that thing comes to an end. And on top of that is something that not only does it end, it doesn't bring anything good out of it. You consume food and you let something consume you. It can destroy you, because you can say, for example, vengeance has consumed you. Like, does knowledge consume you? It doesn't consume you. Knowledge literally gives you. Knowledge gives you more. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا. العلم هكذا. العلم نور وحياة. والظلمات ماذا؟ الظلمات, where does الظلمات come from? من الجهل. Darkness comes from الجهل. And عدم العلم, عدم المعرفة. When you don't have knowledge and you don't have any ma'rifah, that's when you see ظلمات. Like, if you want to have life, you want to have nur, it comes from ilm. The more you know, and it's the right knowledge, the more you literally find yourself living a life to its fullest. That's what you need. So notice this. The whole purpose is you need to revise constantly for you to understand a mas'ala. Now over here, what we're trying to do is just go through of what we can so that it can make sense, inshallah ta'ala. Coming back to what we have. Now we finished with two signs, al-dhamma and al-waw. Simply put, al-alifu and the alif, this is a typo, it's not supposed to be dhammatain. Why is it not supposed to be dhammatain? You tell me right now in the description below, basically in the comment section, or maybe wherever you're watching this class, do let us know, why do you think the dhammatain at the end of al-alif, the word al-alif, is wrong? Because could there be a dhammatain in a case such as al-alif? Tell me. If you don't if you don't understand what I'm trying to say, my advice is go to the playlist below and start from the beginning, and then you come to a position where you study the signs of the noun. When you study the signs of the noun, you realize where that fo is. But this is a typo actually. علامة للرفع, it is the sign of الرفع في تثنية الأسماء خاصة, in the dual type of nouns particularly, specifically. And when we say this, we mean such as a noun which is in dual form is, for example, if you have kitabun, the word kitab. What does kitab mean? Kitab means book, very common word. If you want to make it dual, you plus alif and noon. Different from this one where we said you plus alif and ta. Hindat. This is for the feminine plural. أليس كذلك؟ لكن alif and noon like this, and this noon has to end with a kasra. This noon has to end with a kasra. The noon has to end with a kasra. Bear that in mind. Not if the noon, for example, you have the word sinwun, okay? It's among the trees of date trees or palm trees, but it's in a certain state. I forgot exactly what state, but for example, look at the word sinwun. The dual of it is sinwani. But the problem is the plural of it is sinwanun. But then you say, but Ustad, look, the dhammatain is there, I will know, right? And you already said that if the kasra, the noon has a kasra, then it's very clear. I know this is the dual. I know this is definitely the dual. But then you have cases where this kasra doesn't exist, okay, nor does this dhammatain exist. Now you're left in the middle of a pickle. You're thinking, is it sinwani or is it sinwanun, sinwanan, in what? How does it work basically? How would you know? Now that's a different skill for you to be able to read without any harakat. Bear that in mind. Now sinwun, sinwani, one kasra at the end. Kitabun, kitabani. Look at this. Kitabani. Two books. Qalamun. How do you say two pens? You tell me. How do you say two pens? Work with me. Pay attention and work with me. Qalamani. Like this, okay? Qalamani. Two pens. Qalamani. Now let me give you a little task. Okay? Waraqah. Waraqah meaning a paper. Waraqah. How do you say two papers? Okay. Let's say you have dars. Dars means lesson. How do you say two lessons? Okay. In a state of rafa though. Because we're focusing with al-raf'u. Na'am. Mashi. Look. The next sign that we have, which will be the last inshallah, النون, and the noon علامة للرفع في الفعل المضارع, in the present tense, إذا اتصل به, if it's connected with it, okay, ضمير تثنية, they're the ضمير, okay, they're the ضمير تثنية or جمع والمؤنثة المخاطبة. نعم. إذا اتصل به ضمير تثنية جمع أو مؤنثة المخاطبة. What does this mean? What does it particularly mean? Look, it means simply, look at this, الأفعال الخمسة. الأفعال الخمسة. These are five particular nouns. These five particular nouns are يفعلان in the dual form. Not يفعل. Look. تفعلان. يفعلون. يفعلون تفعلون and تفعلين and تفعلين. Okay, now something I want to bring to your attention is we said that for the dual form you add alif and noon at the end, and noon kasra, صح? And we said for the jam'u al-mudhakkar salim, you notice that, look, waw and noon, muslimuna. But why is the i'rab of this one different from the other ones that we just did? Because you have taf'ala, yaf'alani in the dual sense. يفعلان in the dual sense, تفعلان in the dual sense, يفعلون in the plural sense, تفعلون in the plural sense. Forget about تفعلين first. The difference is because those are nouns and these are verbs. Simply, as I can explain to you right now, those are nouns, these are verbs, and these are not single form nouns. These are not single form nouns. These are nouns starting from two on. These are not single form verbs. Afwan, not single form verbs. These are verbs starting from two onwards. يفعلان تفعلان يفعلون تفعلون. And تفعلين is for the female. In the present tense verb, for the female, you're saying that you did, you are doing, you do this, or maybe you are doing so and so. Okay, what does that mean? You're telling a woman that she did it, different from the man. I don't want to get into those technicalities right now, but it's تفعلين, like that. Now, how do you bring this i'rab? The i'rab of the masculine plural is what? It's the waw. For the masculine plural noun, it's the waw, not the noon, it's the waw. Understood? It is the waw. Different from the al-af'al al-khamsa, and I'll explain to you why. Different from the five particular verbs. I keep on mixing verbs and nouns. 5 particular verbs is different. Why so? Because you have sometimes this same يفعلان could be يفعلا, could be يفعلا, and the noon at the end is deleted. لذلك we say, that's why we say in this case, the alamah, the sign for these particular verbs, these 5 types of verbs, is the existence of the noon. The sign of its i'rab is the existence of the noon, because in other cases the noon doesn't exist. The sign of it in other cases is what? The deletion of the omission of the noon, the removal of the noon, the non-existence of the noon. And when that happens, the i'rab now changes. When it's in a state of nasb or in a state of jazm. Any one of these two, what happens is that you notice that the noon is omitted. But because it's in a state of rafa', the noon remains. The noon is there, so it becomes its main sign. Why am I sharing with you these technicalities? Something that I want you to understand, that these particular verbs, they give you the standard understanding. Okay, this is a qaida, a principle, that when verbs are like this, then we know how to use them according to the i'rab. Understood? And that is a science very specific to morphology, which is a sarf. I don't want to tell you how do these verbs work, or how would you find them, because that gets a bit more technical. What you need to focus on right now is that these particular verbs, these 5 types of verbs which we just mentioned right now, and they are, if you look carefully, يفعلان تفعلان يفعلون تفعلون تفعلين. These 5, they what do they do? The i'rab becomes the noon at the end, the existence of the noon at the end, and sometimes depending on what state of i'rab it is in, okay, it is by the omission of the noon. So just focus on that. I want you to understand the concept. Understanding a concept, or maybe just grasping a concept and trying to master it, those are two different things. For you to grasp a concept, it is to understand, okay, there's this concept called so and so. And once you understand that, now you commit to mastery. When you commit to mastery, it's deciphering that content, that context. And what happens? It becomes much easier the further you dig. What I want you to do is these verbs that you see, which are particularly in this case, they are not single form. They start from to and then onwards, except for one type of single form, and that is for the feminine, for the female that you are addressing directly. تفعلين. أليس كذلك؟ تفعلين in this case. نعم. So we've covered everything. If you look at the notes for the علامات الرفع, the signs of الرفع, we said that علامات الرفع, they are الضمة, ألف, واو, and noon, isn't it? And that is for the dhamma, these four particular type of words, and then for the waw, these two types of words, and then for the alif, only one type of word, which is the dual, and the noon for the five particular nouns, which is one type of set of words category. That's what it is. So what do you notice? You notice that the four signs of for the rafa is al-dhamma, al-waw, al-alif, and an-noon, and each one of them have specific certain types of words that fall into them, inshallah ta'ala. In our next class, we'll focus on the nasb, which comes after the rafa, and its signs as well. And after we've looked into the signs for the nasb, each sign has its own particular word that it works with. But I'm telling you, as you've already listened at the very beginning, these words that we mentioned, for example, the feminine plural noun, the masculine plural noun, the single form noun, and the verbs, the five particular verbs, and also the five particular nouns that we've mentioned, and the dual form of nouns, of nouns as well, what do you notice? They keep on rotating. It depends on what state is in. And you notice that they're always there, because as we said, there are words which do accept change to be part of the chapter of i'rab, but then there are words which are fixed that do not accept change, and they remain in that same image to be part of the chapter of al-bina. And when we mentioned about al-bina, and we did cover it basically briefly in one of the lessons, if you go in the previous lesson, you'll notice that over there we looked at how do you know that these words are in that state of al-bina, basically fixed. And one of them we said that you always find it in that state. They are fixed, basically, are the prepositions. And another one is the past tense verbs. And another one is the commanding tense verbs. Those are always going to be in that state. Understood? But for the rest of the other ones, we did mention some from the nouns, and that we did not go into the depth of them, but we just provided a brief understanding of how should you expect them, inshallah ta'ala. As we said in the next lesson, we'll look at the an-nasb wa alamatuhu. Do stay tuned, do subscribe, do share with others, let them benefit, such as yourself, just like yourself, bi-idhnillah al-kareem, and Allah will reward you. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.